Hello, good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to today's webinar. My name is Pradeep Niduram. I'm the technical manager at Beacon, based out of Bangalore. And today we'll be talking about a very interesting topic. We decided to go off the track a little bit and talk about something very interesting, something like evolution of SolidWorks. Where did it all come from? In this course of the next 40-45 minutes, what I'll try to do is cover the significant enhancements that have happened over the years. For those of you who have been using SolidWorks for a long time, let's say 5 years, 6 years, or maybe 10 years, you would have noticed that SolidWorks keeps adding new functionality and enhancements and new features year after year. On an average, every release they add about 200 new enhancements. Most of them are driven by the customers. Again, we'll see in the course of the webinar, we'll talk about how the enhancements happen, how they take the enhancement request, and how you can be a part of something very exciting like the development of SolidWorks. So without further delay, let me start right into it. Just a couple of housekeeping things. I have a couple of poll questions that I'll be launching sometime during the next 10-15 minutes. Please feel free to use your mouse and keyboard to answer them. And also, if you have any questions or if you have any feedback regarding, let's say, the audio or the video quality, please let us know. We have a team that can help you with it. So just to give you a brief overview of the history, how it all started. The founder, John Hurstich, he left computer vision to start this new exciting startup CAD company. The goal was to put the power of 3D solid modeling on every engineer's desktop. If you really think about it, back in the day in 1993, CAD was a very highly sophisticated software. It used to be hosted on big, gigantic machines, the workstations, and the goal or the idea was to make it simple, put it on every engineer's desktop. At the same time, Windows was also going through a very transformational change. The objective of Microsoft was to put a very simple operating system on every desktop on the planet. So on similar lines, John and his team also set out to build something very credible, very simple and easy to use, and more importantly, it should be very affordable, and it should be on every engineer's desktop. The company was initially based out of Waltham, Massachusetts. That is where the current headquarters is. They moved around a little bit. They went to Concord. They went to, again, they came back to Waltham. So they released their first product in 1995. I think they started in the development in 93, and the first product came out as SolidWorks 95 in the year 1995. It was easy to use, affordable, and was available on Windows desktop, which at that point of time was not heard of. And today we are looking at SolidWorks 2014, the latest release, and throughout these 22 releases, SolidWorks development team has continued to exhibit all these 4 different traits. They continue to put the user first. As I said earlier, 90%, at least 90% of the enhancements come from the user requests. The idea or the goal was to create a single unified user experience, and it can be across functionalities like parts, assemblies, drawings, and even things like simulation and design automation, etc. Everything happens in a single window. That was again the first of its kind. Taking the impossible and making it really easy to use. That is something that you notice in SolidWorks if you've been following it for quite some time now. And over the course of the time, they have built a very incredible community. I'll talk about the community, how big it is, and how vibrant it is more than anything. It can be users, it can be the developers, or it can be the resellers. It can be anybody, but the community is very strong, and they help each other out in more than different ways possible. So let me talk about SolidWorks 95, the first ever release of SolidWorks. And this was, let me tell you, a game changer, because they changed the platform from Unix-based system to the PC Windows-based system. And by doing so, they brought this solid modeling to every engineer's desktop. And the cost came down from a mammoth $18,000 to $4,000. And Again, when you talk about ease of use, all of a sudden the 3D CAD or CAD itself became easier overnight. From a 3-month training to something like a 3 days training to get started. And most of the code was built on Microsoft Foundation Library, which is easy to use, well known, and modern interface. If you think about it, why is Windows so popular today? And why is it there on every desktop that we see? Is the reason that it's very easy to use and simple and easy to learn. You don't need training to use Windows. It's very intuitive and it's very simple. And also, SolidWorks 1995 was the first ever CAD release that allowed you to model on fully lit and shaded models, as opposed to modeling in a wireframe mode and a black background, which was quite boring. So SolidWorks changed it. It became the new kid on the block, which was very fancy, and you're modeling on fully lit and shaded models that look really cool. They also offered something called as Feature Manager, which today we take it for granted, but that is quite a powerful functionality. What it allows you to do is retain the complete history of your CAD models or designs, and then you can edit, or you can capture all the design intent and change or make it parametric as you want it. And starting from 1995, we had drag and drop features. I think that's again very, very unique to SolidWorks at that point of time. So SolidWorks 1995, very, very groundbreaking technology. And from there, year after year, they kept on adding new functionalities, new features. 96 had something called in-context assembly modeling, which we use now on a day-to-day basis for your top-down assembly design approaches. And 96 had something called as dynamic assembly motion. Today, when you add components to your assemblies on designs, you see that SolidWorks keeps adding the motion part of it. When you add a mate, you can drag and you can move around components, and they behave the exact same way they should behave. So that was not something which was introduced recently. It dates back all the way to 1996. And in the year 1995, part mode, assembly mode, and drawing were there, but in assembly you could not mate components. You could only position them. But in 1996, you can use drag and drop between parts between assemblies, and you also had configurations. And bill of materials was introduced in 96, which was one way back in the day. And interference detection, a very, very important aspect of or value add that 3D CAD brings over your traditional 2D CAD like AutoCAD. In the year 1997, they introduced sheet metal features, the sheet metal functionality, and they also started using or developing the design reuse part of it, which primarily revolves around things like library features, where you can actually save a particular feature in your design library and reuse it whenever you want. And they had some new functionality, loft with guide curves, and this was a year where SolidWorks was acquired by Dassault Systems in 1997. So Dassault has taken over SolidWorks, but SolidWorks still retained its own identity. The corporate headquarters stayed in USA, and the development team is still based out of USA. And then we had 97 plus, SolidWorks 97 plus. Here you have configurations extended to sub-assemblies and assemblies, and you have customized exploded views. And again, in 97 plus, there was a new product introduced called SolidWorks Viewer, which was offered free of cost. Today, we take these viewers for granted. We know that they can be easily downloadable from the internet and you can use them. But back in the day, to be able to view a 3D CAD model on any desktop without any cost involved in it was a pretty revolutionary development. And there was some more enhancement around welds and face fillets. By the way, if you have noticed, I have put some pictures on my screen, which are all designs from our customers. They're all rendered inside SolidWorks. I'll talk about rendering when we come across it. So if you're wondering what those pictures are about, those are all rendered SolidWorks models or designs. In the year 1998, we introduced Feature Palette. This is again a very interesting feature. It's not there in its own original form today, but it has been modified. And they introduced sketch diagnostics. If you back in the day, in let's say 1998, most of our SolidWorks customers, they came from AutoCAD. So when you're in a 2D environment and when you're trying to create profiles and you end up missing something and your sketches are open, so problems like this were easily fixed using sketch diagnostics. And we had assembly envelopes and some tangency control for lofts and sweeps. 98 had one more release, 98 plus. Here we introduced SmartMates. SmartMates continues to be one of the very strong points as far as assembly modeling is concerned. We can just drag and drop the component, and SolidWorks will figure out or will suggest a mate that is right. If you want to overrule it, you can do it, but it gets it right most of the time. And by the year 98, assemblies got bigger, so the hardware could only support so much. So you need things like making the assemblies lightweight, making the designs lightweight. So they introduced something called as lightweight components. And 98 plus was a year release where they introduced surfacing and also something called as FeatureWorks, which still continues to exist today. This was very important, very critical, because you have to have the ability to talk to other CAD formats. You need to have that ability to translate or to import other CAD formats, because before SolidWorks there were a couple of other 3D CAD packages, and you already had so much of data, 3D CAD data. So to be able to convert those customers into SolidWorks, you need to have this functionality, and this functionality called FeatureWorks, where you can bring in other CAD files and be able to recognize the features and store it in native SolidWorks format, was very critical to be able to capture most of the audience. And in 1998, they introduced the first ever certified SolidWorks professional exam. Back in the day, it was a written exam where you have to be physically present at a reseller office or at SolidWorks to be able to give this exam, and you'll be given some models to be designed, and then you'll be graded on them. So it was a pretty lengthy process, and a lengthy exam as well. I think it spanned around 8 hours, if I'm not wrong. But now it is much more simpler. It has been online. You can take the exam right from your living room. It's a very big development from let's say 1998, and also the first ever SolidWorks World was held in Palm Springs in the year 1999. If you are aware of this, SolidWorks World is an annual event where SolidWorks brings its entire community together. That involves SolidWorks team, the reseller teams, the partners, the customers, even the education community as well. And the year in 1999, SolidWorks introduced the real-time collision detection. This is a feature where when you have motion inbuilt into your assemblies, when you can move around components, it will detect a problem like a collision, so that you can get your assemblies or designs right the first time. This was a year where 3D Sketch was introduced, and with that came the piping functionality. And we also had a 2D command emulator. Also, the assembly structure could be edited. 2000 was a big release because it brought in a lot of functionality. Quite interesting, quite popular at that time. Even it continues to be very popular today. Is something called as e-drawings, using which you can share your designs, 3D designs or 2D model, 2D designs with anybody in the organization. You don't need to have a CAD license on that system, and it's a free to download product from day one. And we have a brand new hole wizard interface in 2000, which allowed you to use the standard holes of different complying to a lot of different standards like ANSI, ISO, and Indian standards. Surfacing was developed, and the first ever SolidWorks Explorer was released. It continues to exist today. It's a very neat application. I find it very useful as compared to the regular Windows Explorer. As I keep telling that Windows Explorer is fine for your Microsoft Office files or regular Windows files, but when it comes to CAD data, you need a specialist, and that's what SolidWorks Explorer is all about. And in the year 2000, they introduced something called as dynamic clearance detection. I think a lot of people don't still are not aware of this functionality. It's a very interesting way to figure out the clearance. If you have moving components and if you want to do it dynamically, it will predict what is the minimum clearance at any given point of time and what is the maximum clearance. In the year 2001, we introduced mirror components, and the user interface was revamped, and you could start seeing that the user interface is getting much more easier to use. The heads-up user interaction, where you have the contextual menus popping up as you keep modeling or as you keep going about your day, that reduces the mouse movement to a great extent, and it also speeds up your design process. And in the year 2001, you have flexible subassemblies, which is very important to be able to predict the accurate motion. And for the first time, we had an import wizard developed for your 2D files, DXF or DWG files, using which you can convert your 2D to 3D very easily. And 2000 plus was also on the similar lines. You had more and more physical dynamics added into the system. So now, if your components have moving components, and you have things like gravity and friction inbuilt to it, so that you're trying to predict the actual behavior of your components, or in the real working conditions. As I said, the assemblies got bigger and bigger as we delved into a lot of different verticals like power process and plant and oil and gas. So assemblies got bigger, so there was a need to develop something like a large assembly mode, which again today is quite popular. You can use it to load your files faster, to work with them faster. And 2D to 3D glass box functionality was introduced here. This was very critical again because, as I said, most of the customer base was coming from 2D. So we have to give them something to be able to convert their 2D models into 3D very easily. So this is a functionality where you can bring in the 2D drawing into SolidWorks sketch environment. You can use the glass box functionality to bend those views and to be able to create a 3D model out of it. And this was a year where the new product called SolidWorks Office was introduced, and also in the same year, the Solid Systems acquires SRAC, which brought in simulation into the mainstream design. I think this was the biggest development around that time, because back in the day, simulation or analysis was a huge giant, which was nowhere related to CAD because it existed independently and the teams were different. But the idea or the vision of SolidWorks was to put the power of analysis or simulation into the hands of the designers, and they were very, now that you look at it, you can say that they were very successful in doing so. Next release was SolidWorks 2003. The first Express tool comes out in the form of Cosmos Express, which today is called as Simulation Express, using which you can do the part level structural analysis, where you can figure out your stresses, the deflection or the displacements in your parts based on, let's say, the loads applied and the boundary conditions. And also a web portal, a brand new web portal called 3D Content Central, which is a repository of all the standard components that you use or that you buy off the shelves, was created. The idea was that if you are buying, let's say, 20 to 30% of your components from outside, you don't have to design them. Let the people who are selling the components, let them design and share the data with you so that you can use them straight away into your designs. And Contour Select was introduced in 2003. I'll show you some of the enhancements. I'll be talking about Contour Select and how it is used. And multi-bodies was introduced in 2003 along with PDM Works, which is a data management. As again, in this zone, when you have data becoming huge, you need a way to manage that data. So that's how PDM Works got in. And the new product called SolidWorks Office Professional was released. Now we don't call it Office anymore. So it's just now SolidWorks Standard, Professional, and Premium. So I think now that we're talking about it, let's go for a poll question. What I would like to do is get some feedback from you. so that I can fine tune my presentation accordingly. So I'm launching the first of the poll question. I want you to tell me, or I want you to let me know which or what is the SolidWorks that you use. Is it SolidWorks Standard, Professional, or Premium? Please feel free to use the mouse or keyboard to give me some feedback on what kind of SolidWorks you use today. I'll leave that window open for another 10-15 seconds maybe, and then we'll go on with the rest of the presentation. Okay, fair enough. I think I got the participation. Let me just quickly share the results. Um, so this is more or less expected behavior. We tend to see it as 40-40-20, and you know what we want you to do is we want you to be aware of the upgrade path that is available. So we've been doing a lot of webinars over this area where we are showing the value add when you move from standard to professional and professional to premium. So the functionality and um, the features are different from version to from standard to professional to premium. So depending on what you need and what you can make the most out of, we want you to use the right product. So let's move on. So in 2004, we introduced mold tools, which is again a breakthrough for your plastic component manufacturers and designers, mold tool makers. Weldments was introduced for structural members. You have libraries that you can just simply create a 3D sketch, drag, drop, and use. Again, this was pretty big at that point of time. Auto balloons came in 2004, which I think should have come a lot earlier. But nevertheless, auto balloon continues to exist to be a very popular feature in 2D today. And some of them mates or improved limit mates was introduced. And more importantly, they introduced something called as real view, which is a default visualization mode that you will see in SolidWorks today. The reason why your designs look so real is that because of this technology called real view, which was incorporated in 2004. 2005 saw some enhancements around direct editing. They had flex feature. We have something called as draw compare, which again is used to help your QA. We have electrical routing for the first time introduced in 2005. This helped. This opened a wide gamut of possibilities. You can suddenly, all of a sudden, you can go into control panels. You can do electrical designs inside 3D. And a new functionality called auto dimensioning in drawings was introduced, which made detailing really easy. SolidWorks RX was also brought in 2005. This was more towards enabling the customers and the resellers with right support solutions. Like yes, software is any software for that matter is not 100% robust. It might if you think about Windows, just say in the year 2000 and 2002 or even 2004, you had so many window crashes happening on almost a daily basis or weekly basis. But now Windows has become very stable. It does not crash anymore, or you don't see that blue screen of death. So same thing with any application, especially engineering intensive applications like SolidWorks. They got stabler over the period of time, and to be able to support the customers and the resellers or even the developers to pinpoint or to diagnose the exact issue. It can be hardware related or it can be software related. SolidWorks RX was introduced, and even today we continue to use RX in a very efficient way to diagnose and pinpoint the problems. 2006 was a big release because I remember smart components came into picture. This was again, it saved a lot of time. I don't know how many people use it today, but it is one of the essence of the using SolidWorks, especially in assembly mode where you have lot of different components. SolidWorks will try to help you as much as possible. Smart components is basically making your components intelligent, storing information in them. Like, let's say if you drag and drop a gearbox, it should always come with, let's say, some fasteners, and some fixtures along with it. So this kind of things made life really easier and simpler. And also sketch blocks was introduced for layout design. Display states, again, very useful item, I believe. Configurations is always there, but display states, what it does is it helps you with creating different visualization, visual modes for your assemblies that will enable you to focus on a particular area of your assembly to be able to work faster and easier. Design checker was introduced. This still continues to be very popular, and you can check your drawings for consistent, let's say fonts or some standards that you can enforce, or make sure that all the teams across the organization use. And in 2006, you could put camera views to be able to look at your assemblies with more designs with more realistic perspectives. And this was a year where SolidWorks Office Premium was introduced, which continues to exist as SolidWorks Premium now, which is a flagship product of SolidWorks. In the year 2007, we had a lot of new functionality in the form of Swift. These are basically expert tools that you can use to make things faster, quicker. New functionality was introduced in assemblies like belts, chains, and gears. This was very, very useful for people who are into machine design. Freeform was added to your capabilities, surfacing capabilities, and you have SolidWorks Enterprise PDM released in 2007. And also some reverse engineering capabilities in the form of scan to 3D was introduced, where you can bring a point cloud data and build your surfaces or solids out of it. 2008 saw a major change in the GUI part of it, where the user interface became very, very easy and very clean, if you will. And Instant 3D was introduced. I think I'll show Instant 3D, which continues to be very popular again. What it allows you to do is it allows you to work on your designs with confidence without depending so much on commands or menus. You can just work on your designs within the graphical user interface, within the graphics window and graphics area, to be able to design faster. Tolerance stack-up analysis was introduced again in 2008. This is part of SolidWorks Premium today. When you talk about form, fit, and function, things like tolerance analysis will help you to get your designs right the first time. Again, a lot of rework that used to happen because a part is not fitting, or it's not behaving the way it should be behaving. All these things were cut down with the help of more and more validation built into the system. PhotoView 360 was taken over. It was a separate application back in the day in 2009. Now it is integrated inside SolidWorks. So back in the day, I think it was called PhotoWorks, if I'm not wrong. So it continued to be a photorealistic rendering module shipped along with SolidWorks, using which you can create fantastic images of your 3D models. This was pretty, groundbreaking again, because if you are into consumer products and let's say medical devices or any other product design, what you would be typically doing is getting prototypes out and then going for very expensive photo shoots to get your photographs for your marketing collaterals or websites, things like that. But with the help of PhotoView 360, now the customers are able to get a very realistic perspective on how their models will look like even before a single prototype was made. SpeedPack, which is still, I think, a very underrated and underused command inside SolidWorks, was introduced in 2009. What SpeedPack does is it enables you to only retain the information that you need, let's say you're into power plants and you're into oil and gas. Let's say you're getting your skid from outside. So what you can do is you can just load it in speed pack mode, so that you can just refer to the flanges that you need, and the rest of the assembly will be loaded, or it will be unloaded out of the memory, so that your assemblies still tend to be lightweight, and so that you can work faster and quicker. SircuitWorks was introduced, which helped to bring in your ECAD data, and which allowed you to convert it into MCAD. This allowed a very, I would say, a very collaborative and very efficient way of working with your ECAD teams, which previously was like, again, totally two different islands. Now you can write data back to ECAD as well. And sensors was introduced in 2009. Sensors are used to keep a tab on certain things, like let's say you don't want the assembly weight to cross so and so, or let's say you want to measure a particular aspect of your motion. So what you can do is you can create sensors. You can let SolidWorks monitor these things for you, so that whenever you are going out of the limit, SolidWorks will help you to notice and correct your designs. 3D VIA Composer, a technical documentation solution, was introduced in 9, which today is called as SolidWorks Composer. What this does is it enables you to create your technical documentation, things like user manuals, service manuals, even animations and things like that. You can create using 3D VIA Composer. Today it's called as SolidWorks Composer. So the idea was to give the customer a whole spectrum of solutions, not just 3D CAD, but all the other complementary offerings like data management, technical documentation, simulation, etc. 2010, we saw SolidWorks Sustainability. This was the first again across all the CAD platforms to be able to bring the green design principles, the life cycle analysis principles into the design. These days, customers and clients are looking for greener and greener products, greener designs which are eco-friendly and which are not too harmful to the environment. So you can use SolidWorks Sustainability to evaluate the impacts of your designs. Rapid dimension was introduced, which allowed you to dimension, or which help you to detail your drawings really quickly. We'll take a look at rapid dimension. We'll take a look at some of these functionalities now. Event-based motion simulation was also introduced, which is again quite powerful if you ask me. You can replicate the behavior of the conveyors or things like pick and place robots, etc. Mouse gestures. This is one of my hands-down favorite features of 2010. I still continue to use it, in a very efficient way, so that my design speed goes up multifold. Actually, the way mouse gestures was introduced was is very interesting. They had a survey which was conducted, which actually tracked the mouse movement of the user over a period of time, and then they introduced something like this, so that you don't have to go and pull down a menu or go into the command managers each and every time you needed a command. With the help of mouse gestures, you can configure up to 8 different commands for each mode: part, drawing, and assembly mode, so that you can have these things at your fingertips. Multi-body sheet metal was introduced in 2010, which allowed you to develop multiple sheet metal components in the same window, part window. Now in 2011, they integrated photo view. Previously, it was a separate application, a standalone application. Now it was brought into SolidWorks, and walkthrough was introduced, using which you can create fantastic visual content that will enable you to capture the essence of your large assemblies. De-feature tool was introduced. Again, let's say you're sharing your data and you don't want someone else to copy your IP. What you can do is you can use a de-feature tool to eliminate or remove some of the details, so that they won't be able to exactly replicate it. In simulation, there were some enhancements. 2D simplification was introduced. Again, if you are working with, let's say, revolved components, there's no components which are symmetric in nature. What you can do is you can Go for some simplification that will reduce your simulation solving time or the meshing time, etc. Auto arrange in dimensions was introduced. I think this continues to be very popular now. What SolidWorks does is it will help you in your detailing part of it. It will automatically arrange the dimensions for you. In 2012, we had a new um, way to approach your large or very large assemblies. This is in addition to the lightweight components and the large assembly mode. Large design review is for your pretty large assemblies, like let's say 10,000, 20,000 or so. What you want to do is you want to open it quickly. You want to just maybe do a quick review of it, or maybe you want to create some snapshots of it, or maybe you want to create some walkthroughs. So all these things are possible in large design review. And with this, you are able to open pretty huge assemblies within no time. Let's say 10 to 15,000 component assembly was, you can open it in 20 seconds or less. So pretty interesting, pretty useful for people who are into large assemblies. If you ask me about 2012, I think the major and significant enhancement was costing. This was again driven by the customers. This was people wanted it, so SolidWorks worked on it very closely. SolidWorks costing, what it does is it enables you to estimate the costs of your designs. Like it can be sheet metal components, it can be machine components. Since you know the raw material cost and you also know the cost associated with each operation, manufacturing operation, like let's say cutting or bending, what you can do is you can set up the templates really carefully so that SolidWorks will help you with the costing estimation. I'll show you how it works. And also magnetic lines was introduced for balloons. This is again a functionality which is taken or which is inspired from 3D VIA Composer, which is a technical documentation solution. So using SolidWorks 2012, now you can arrange your balloons using these magnetic lines to which all your balloons will automatically attach to. Feature freeze again was one of the significant enhancements, using which what you can do is you can reduce or bring down that rebuild time. Let's say your part has a lot of detail. It has, let's say, 30, 40 features, and every time you don't want those features to be rebuilt. So what you can do is you can freeze all those features. Similar to the rollback bar we have now a freeze bar that is available in SolidWorks 2012 and above, using which you can freeze all those features. So when you're bringing in the components or when you're opening the components, the rebuild time is 0. Again, one important and very small enhancement, but I think it is a very thoughtful enhancement, if you will. It's called search commands. I'll show you. This is very useful for people who are learning the software, or let's say who are using the software for the first 6 months or 8 months. There will be umpteen number of occasions where let's say you want to use a particular command or a feature, but you don't know where it is located. So you will end up spending a couple of minutes or even more just to locate the command. You'll go to the help menu and figure out where that particular command is located. But with the help of the search command option, you can straight away launch the command without any delay. I'll show you these features. And in the year 2013, we saw some enhancements related to view and visualization options with things like view selector. Things like patterning was improved significantly. So you have in addition to the standard linear patterns and standard sketch driven patterns, now you have something called as varying dimension patterns. I'll show you how it works. SolidWorks plastics was introduced. This was for plastic component manufacturers as well as mold tool makers. So where you can again validate your injection molding processes to eliminate manufacturing defects like weld lines, sink marks, even shrinkage, etc. Part reviewer, this is very small enhancement, but I think it's useful. Let's say you want to show someone how a particular component is made. You typically use the rollback bar and you go step by step explaining. But with the help of part reviewer, what you can do is you can add comments, you can add timestamps, you can add some callouts so that people know what how you designed or how you modeled that particular design. Section views in drawings was greatly enhanced. This continues to be a very popular enhancement in 2013. It's called Section View Assist. I think if I have time, I'll show you this part. It makes life really simpler if you are doing section views more, on a day-to-day basis. And the latest release, current release, SolidWorks 14 saw some enhancements. Assemblies got even more faster. What we have here is something called as quick mate. If you think that smart mates and if you think that dragging and dropping is easy, this is more this is even more easier and even more faster. And one of the most requested enhancement was to have explode views with rotation of components. Let's say you have fasteners and other components you want to show with rotation along with the linear explosion. That is possible in SolidWorks 2014. And patterns was greatly enhanced in assemblies. Now you can do whole bunch of different patterns in assemblies like sketch driven, curve driven, even a new feature called pattern driven patterns as there in assemblies now. A brand new mate called slot mate was introduced. Let me talk about how this process works. So if you are a SolidWorks user, if you are an existing customer of SolidWorks, and if you have access to your customer portal, what you can do is you can locate or you can submit your enhancement requests online to SolidWorks. Or if you can get in touch with us, we will collect that information and we will pass that information to SolidWorks for you. And we have product definition teams sitting in Asia Pacific and even in India. So if what they typically do is where they compile all this data, they look it into what most of the customers are asking for, and they tend to address that particular zone. But let's say you have a very interesting idea and you want you want to be heard and you want SolidWorks people to be aware of this particular idea. What you can do is you can get in touch with us. We will definitely put you in the right direction so that SolidWorks team will get in touch with you. And eDrawings now is on your eDrawings went mobile. Now it is there in your Apple devices as well as your Android smartphone. So you can show or carry your designs around. Again, the direction that we are heading in is we are getting more and more mobile by the day. So this is, I think, the way to go. And today the community is pretty big. If you see, we have crossed 2 million users. We have about 180,000 customers worldwide. We have 1 million active 3D Content Central users. So you can imagine how much of data they're creating and how much data they're putting online. Look at the number of Facebook fans and the number of YouTube videos. I think SolidWorks is the most it's widely present in YouTube. If you want to just go and learn a particular command or a particular feature of SolidWorks, what I would typically do is go to YouTube and look for it, and there is a very high probability that someone would have put a tutorial of it, and most of it is coming from users. It's not SolidWorks or it's not resellers doing it. Most of it is coming from YouTube, individual users. And if you also look at educational community, SolidWorks I think is the best way to go about doing your MCAD, mechanical CAD, in your engineering courses or diplomas. 200 user groups with 15,000 active members. I think this is a very strong statement of how tight the community continues to be. So user groups are small local chapters where people get together. The SolidWorks users, the passionate SolidWorks users, get together and they share information, they share the knowledge, they share some tips and tricks. The resellers and SolidWorks people also are involved in this, and it continues to be one of the best ways to share knowledge and network. So if you are interested in being a part of a user group, please again let us know. You can just type in a comment in your questions or chat window, and we'll see how we can get this going. Certifications continue to be again one of the strong points. Like a lot of employers, they look for active ways of evaluating the teams. So what SolidWorks certifications will help you is it will help you evaluate the modeling and the engineering skills of your designers. We have 85,000 certified users. And we have different levels of certification, starting from associate level for students to professional and expert level. And SolidWorks forums is a place where you can go for your questions, and you typically will get a response within, let's say, 4 to 6 hours. Someone somewhere in the planet would have come across the same problem, and they would have figured out a way to do it. So they'll definitely share with you. So you can go to forums.solidworks.com. That is again a very active portal. So with that, I will stop and just show you some of the functionality that I've been talking about. Let's go from 2010 and above. I don't want to go much beyond that. Yeah, I think right way to right place to, I think, go for our second poll question, where I want to get some feedback on who's using what release of SolidWorks. So I'll just leave it quick for 30 seconds. Please feel free to use your mouse and keyboard to give us some feedback on which version of SolidWorks you're using, so that I can showcase the commands accordingly. Okay, I will leave out the window for another 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe. I got 84% of the votes. I'm just waiting for the last 10-15%. So let me close this now and let me share the results with you. The reason why we are asking this is we want to know who's using what. Most of the customers are on latest releases 13 and 14, and some of you are on 2010, 11, and 12. If you are using 2010 and if you take a look at 14, you'll notice the difference in the functionality, the difference in the way things are done. So let me just quickly start from 2010. I'll start with something like rapid dimension mouse gestures. This is SolidWorks 2014 I'm using, but the functionality that I'm going to show you has been introduced in 10. So the first thing is, let me show you mouse gestures. So previously, if you are an old-time user of SolidWorks, you know how you make your design process quick. So let's say you use something like shortcut toolbars. There are a couple of ways to do it. One is shortcut toolbars, and the second one is mouse gestures. So instead of going and launching a command from one of these command manager tabs, or let's say one of the pull down menus, what you can do is you can customize this to be able to use it. Like, let's say you're in sketch mode. So when you're in sketch mode, you need, let's say, line command. Often you need circle, you need trim command, things like this. So right. So what you can do is you can customize this. Oh, my bad. I think I did not hide the poll results. Yeah. So what I was showing was something called as mouse gestures. This is let's say you're in sketch mode. So there will be some 5-6 commands that you use, most often. Things like line, let's say trim command, or maybe a dimension command. So these things can be customized and they can be put on your fingertips, so that you don't have to go and launch them from your command managers or even shortcut toolbars. So both of them, they are very useful to speed up your design process. Like, let's say you want to create a simple sketch and dimension it. So with the help of mouse gestures, what you can do is you can quickly add some detail. And you can see that SolidWorks will help you with the contextual menus, and let's say I want to dimension it now. So I can quickly launch these dimension commands. And once I come out of the sketch, you will see that my mouse gestures are now different. So it is mode specific. Like in part mode, I have the views that I need, and I have let's say some hole wizards and some fillet commands. So I'll use something called as contour select now. This is again a feature which was in use. So using which you can select multiple contours. and you can hide this now. And let's say now you're in part mode, so you need fillets. So you have the fillets, and you have instant 3D. This is instant 3D where you can add or you can change the features very dynamically. This is almost similar to your direct editing. And you can select silhouette edges. This was again not possible back in the day. So this green arrow you see on the screen, this is instant 3D. You can add or remove geometry. And we can add more detail, but at this point, you get the picture. So in different modes, you have different mouse gestures. So again, when I'm in drawing mode, you can see the mouse gestures are different. I have bill of materials, I have auto balloons, I have a whole call out, I have chamfer dimensions, etc. So let me show you rapid dimension, which again was introduced in 2010. Rapid dimension is a command that allows you to position or let's say uh, place your dimensions in a very easy way. So this command can be found in your regular dimension tab. There is just a checkbox that is by default checked. So let's say I'm trying to create one more dimension here just to show the symmetry. So between these two holes, so I'll select my first reference, I'll select my second reference. As soon as I do it, you see this colored circles, semicircles. Those help me to place the dimension. So I don't have to worry about the dimensioning part. SolidWorks will help me with this. So it's asking me if I want to place a 20 dimension above or below. Either case, it's helping me in the placement part of it. And one more command called auto arrange. Let's say you have a messy sketch with a lot of dimensions. What you can do is you can use this auto arrange dimensions. Just select the dimensions, go into the dimension contextual menu where you have the first feature called auto arrange. Click on it, and SolidWorks will evenly space the dimensions for you. Very, very useful feature if you deal with pretty complex detailing in your drawing. So those are the two enhancements I wanted to point out in SolidWorks 2010. Let's go to 2011 and see what we can take a look at. I think I covered auto arrange. So now let's talk about photo view. So photo view is this particular part of SolidWorks where you can render your designs within inside SolidWorks. So it continues to be a part of SolidWorks Premium and Professional. It's not available in Standard. So you can have this render tools command manager tab in which you have these features onto the right. These are a part of SolidWorks Photo View 360. So it's very simple. All you have to do is go over your appearances. You'll be each material or each component as you design. When you apply the material, a proper appearance will be applied. And what you can do using this particular functionality is that you can render. You can create the lighting effect, the cameras, and you can render the SolidWorks models in a photorealistic way. So SolidWorks will apply this appearance properties, textures, and if you have decals and things like that, it will render. Again, it is very, very quick. This is a preview window that is loading. So you can get very high quality, high resolution images for your marketing collaterals and let's say websites or brochures, etc. So this is SolidWorks Photo View 360. I think let me show you a couple of rendered images. So you can create fantastic looking images by using Photo View 360. So let's move on. I think we are running out of time. So let me quickly cover some ground here. Defeature tool is very simple. What it does is it helps you to protect your IP. You can remove some detail and before you share it with your customers. In 2012, as I said, costing was introduced. Let me talk about costing because I think this is a very interesting and useful feature. So let's say you are into sheet metal components and you want to estimate the cost of this particular component, the cost of production of this particular component, what you can do is you can launch your costing module from SolidWorks, and SolidWorks will automatically detect that this is a sheet metal component, and it will launch the sheet metal template. The template is set up previously. What it does is it has all the raw material cost, it has got the manufacturing costs, so this is a sheet metal costing window or on the task main, and here you can see that SolidWorks has figured out the material cost, the thickness, the cost based on the thickness, and based on the geometry and based on the number of operations. You can see all the operations that are involved, the cut paths we have, the number of bends we have 10 bends, and let's say you have some custom operation like powder coating or let's say painting, you can include that one as well. So it's all about setting up your templates very carefully. Let me quickly show you one template. So this is the template. You have units, you have materials, you have raw material costs for different thickness of sheets, and operation costs for cutting, bending, and let's say library features like louvers, and also some custom operations like painting and inspection costs. You can include all of them, and you can quickly arrive at an accurate estimate of the cost of your production. And what you can do is you can do a quick what-if analysis as well. Like let's say, what if I change the thickness of this component from 1.6 to 1.4? So your cost will go down based on the inputs that you have given or predefined in the templates. So here you can see that there's a 10% reduction in the cost. So this is good. This is available both for sheet metal as well as machine components. So you can get a head start on your cost estimation. And up next, what I wanted to talk about was search commands. This I'll show you because if you are using SolidWorks and if you are want to, let's say I want to launch a whole alignment. So I don't know where it is. So what I can do is instead of spending time in the search window, command window, help windows, and figuring out some, let's say, training manuals, what I can quickly do is start by typing hole in the search window, and SolidWorks will bring all the features that match with this text keyword. So now I can launch whole alignment from here, or I can even locate it. So what SolidWorks does is it will point out and it will show you where this particular whole alignment is present. So it's pointing out to evaluate tab, and it's showing me that whole alignment is here, so that next time you want it, you can just locate it from here. Or let's say I'm just interested in launching it, so I can quickly click on that and it will launch the command as well. So a very, very useful time-saving feature, I believe, which will be very useful for the first-time learners or beginners of SolidWorks. Feature freeze is again, let me show you how it works. So yeah, so here you have three features. So if you want to use feature freeze, what you need to do is you have to enable the feature freeze bar. So here in your system options, general settings, you have enable freeze bar option. So once you do it, you will see this yellow bar on top. It's similar to our rollback bar, which is blue and which is present at the end of your feature history. This will exist on the top. So what you can do is you can just drag and drop it and place it where you want to freeze the features. So when you freeze them, you'll see this lock window on top of it. So next time when you're rebuilding it, your rebuild time will be 0, which means you don't have to wait for a ridiculously long period of time. And this was very useful if you are into, let's say, components with a lot of detail on them, like let's say with a lot of patterns or a lot of holes, etc. So next up, I want to talk about magnetic lines for balloons. Is pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to go there. It's very similar to what we have in 3D VI Composer. Now let's talk about 2013 enhancements. We have varying dimension patterns. Let me talk about part reviewer, then we'll go to varying dimension pattern. Part reviewer is a simple enhancement which will help you to take someone through how this particular component was modeled. So you can launch the part reviewer from your evaluate tab, or you can go to your tools menu and pull down the part reviewer command from there. So what you can do is you can roll back to the first step, and you can start a step-by-step detailed instruction of how this particular comment feature was made. You can even add comments and timestamps, so you're adding reference geometry, you're adding feature after feature. So a nice way of evaluating or visiting how this particular component was designed. So it will take you through each and every feature, each and every reference geometry. So this is part reviewer, and yeah, I wanted to show you varying dimension pattern. Again, varying dimension pattern is very, it's again a customer driven request. If you have dimensions that are varying, like say in this case, you see the slots which have varying dimensions, varying length from slot to slot or width from slot to slot. So instead of, you can vary both spacing as well as the dimensions. So you can see that we have picked the direction, we have picked the number of instances, and we have also picked the increment of the spacing. So we have a 10 mm increment in direction 1 on spacing, and we also have one particular dimension captured, which is this width of 10 mm. We are increasing that as we go by. So you can see that the spacing is being increased as well as the length of or the width of the slot is increased. Similar way, if you look at this pattern on the bottom, you can see that we have taken one seed item here, which is at the middle, and then we have decreased the width of the slot in either direction. So you can capture this and go with a 10 mm increment here, negative 10 on either side. So it's very easy to use. I can create one and show you, but it's very simple. I think we're running out of time here. Section view assist. Do we have time for this? Yeah, section view assist is a brand new way of creating your sections. So it is a very simple and easy to use interface now. So aligned sections or offsets, everything is put into one single window, and it's very powerful, very easy to use as well. And 14, we have slot mate. Let me just quickly show you the slot mate. So if you are using slots regularly on a day-to-day basis, you can start. Previously, you had to do so many different things, but now you have only one mate, slot mate, which will ease up this mating process. So all you have to do is select the geometry, and SolidWorks will place it. And you have a couple of different ways of constraining it. One is you can go for the free constraint, so that it will move within the slot. And you can also edit this. Let's say you want to place it in the center, or let's say on a particular distance along the slot, like let's say 15 mm in one direction, or you can flip the dimension and put it on the other side. Same thing with the percentage slot, 30% on this side or 30% on that side, or you can leave it free. And you can also do different types of slots here, circular with a slot, and also axis. And you can also do a slot with another slot. This will give you entire range of motion. Like if I pick this surface, so it will move in all the other 4 directions, and it's behaving the exact way it should behave. And you can also do circular slots on cylinder with another circular slot cylinder. So what is not possible at this point in SlotMate is that when you have one or more straight edges or open edges, that is not possible, and also when you have curved edges, that is also again not possible. So these are some limitations that at this point we have in SlotMate. Explode with rotate, let me quickly show you that, and let's end the webinar there. I think we covered a good ground. Quick mate is, I'll show you how it works. If you pick two reference entities for mating, previously what SolidWorks used to do is you have to go into mate command and then do it. But now with the help of SolidWorks Quick Mate, as soon as you select two components or two reference entities, it will suggest what are the possible mating options you have. It will not give you a mating option which is not possible and which will over constrain. It will only suggest you the possible options of mating, like let's say tangent or coincident. So let me quickly create a simple explode view here, which includes rotation. So selecting both the components here, fasteners and do it again. This particular option called rotate about each origin should be checked. So when you move this, when you drag the component, so first linear explode in one direction, and then it will give you a circular arrow which is prompting you for rotation. So I can just pick this, and you can see that the arrows or the components are rotating about its own origin. So that's the first step. And next I can rotate this particular component about any other reference geometry. You can see that the explosion is happening with the rotation. So that's a new enhancement in 2014, and I think let's wrap it up here because we're running out of time. And if you have any questions, please let us know. And you have our contact details. You can talk to us. You can let us know if you are interested in a particular aspect of SolidWorks. If you want to let us know any feedback, if you want to upgrade to the latest version, or if you want to get in touch with us regarding any specific request, we'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. And we also want to announce a couple of things. One is, if you are interested in evaluating the latest version of SolidWorks, please get in touch with us. What we can do is we can help you with a training which will focus on the new enhancements, let's say from 13 to 14, or let's say from 12 to 14, and then we can give you an eval license which will help you in evaluating the product for you. So I'm open for questions. I'll be here for another 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please let us know. I have a feedback regarding the audio quality. I don't believe it is a problem from our side, because this is the first comment we are getting in. Anyway, we have recorded this webinar. So what we will do is we will be sharing the recorded version of this webinar. So you can access this